Hello and welcome. We are here making pretty romance cards tonight, ladies, and I think we are going to have a really good time. I was saying to Lynn earlier, I don't really have a plan for tonight. It's just going to be a bunch of friends crafting together. We're going to work on these 4 cards, and I actually have some thoughts about maybe a couple of them we will do multiples of the same card, because if we're cutting, we might as well cut and do a couple at the same time. But this one's going to use some random stamping. This one's going to use some die cutting. This one's just going to make beautiful use of our paper. And this one, we're going to do some stamping and die cutting at the same time. So those will be lots of fun. And then we'll see where it goes from there. So I have allocated 3 hours on my calendar for this class. If we get done these cards quickly, then we can make a layout or we can make some more cards. We'll leave that up to the group and we'll see how that goes. So it's going to be just pretty casual. And if you start getting tired or you feel like you've had enough, maybe after the hour-and-a-half mark, feel free to say good night, and then you can watch the rest on replay, because this will be uploaded to YouTube just for the people who have purchased the kit and are in the class. So that way you can replay anything that you want to catch up on, or in case you missed it, or you just want to make the cards again, because trust me, you're going to have lots of goodies left over. So to get started, I think our best bet is to do a little bit of our cutting first of all. So you're going to want to grab your paper trimmer, and I'm going to show you the pieces that we're going to use to start with. I'm using scraps in some cases because I've already cut into some of my larger pieces. You ladies will likely have full sheets at this point, but you'll have scraps left over for later on. So to start with, out of your little stack of cardstock, which is the 8.5 by 11 pieces, if you could please grab and have handy 2 sheets of the white. And then we're going to need the dark purple, this robin's egg color, and the 2 greens. Do I have some thumbs up here? Let me know when you're ready. For pattern paper, we're going to use this purple scallopy one. Oh, it doesn't look purple on my camera. There we go. We're going to use this one with these beautiful purple seashells. It has, what does it have on the back? Oh, it has the beautiful flowers on the back. You just need 1 sheet. So in your kit, you'll have 4 sheets. For this one, we just need 1 sheet. You're going to need 1 sheet of the diagonal stripe, which has these beautiful lattice work on the back. And then the last piece you're going to need is this little gray piece with all the little hearts on it and the damask on the back. And again, this one we're not going to use a lot of. I've just got a scrap. You guys, unfortunately, we'll be cutting into a big sheet, but it'll be worth it, I promise. So I'll give you just a minute to collect all of those goodies together. Are we all good? Thumbs up across the board. Awesome. All right, so once you have your papers together, let's cut the cardstock first, because I think that'll be easiest. Let's start with 1 sheet of the white. So out of this piece, which is, I believe, 8.5 by 11, we are going to cut 4 pieces that are 4 inches by 5.25 inches. My trimmer here. So I'm going to put my paper in horizontal and cut the 5.25 inch measurements first. So I'm going to just line that up at the 5.25 inch mark, cut up, and do it again. So you do have a little sliver of scrap left over that can just go into your little discard pile. Then we're going to flip them horizontal again, and cut them at 4. And your little bits can go off to the side. While I try not to keep too many small scraps, just because I would be inundated with them, at least while I'm working on a project, I like to keep them because you never know when you might just need a sentiment strip or something really quick, or even just something to jot notes on. So I try to keep at least, decent sized scraps until the end of the project and then clean up. All right, so we've got 4 pieces here that are 4 by 5 1/4. They can get chopped off to the side. Then we're going to cut our second piece of white, and what we're going to do out of this one is just cut 2 card bases that when they're folded will measure 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So if you have your scoreboard or your scoring tool for your trimmer, I like to score first because that way then you're only doing it once. So I'm going to put mine in my trimmer because I'm too lazy to grab my scoreboard. Got my scoring tool. I'm just going to score at that 4 1/4 mark all the way to the bottom. The best thing when you're scoring is to not press too hard and go over it 2 or 3 times. If you press too hard, you could go right through your paper. And then now that it's scored, I'm going to turn it horizontal and cut it at 5 1/2. So that should give me 2 card bases. Everybody with me? Fantastic. Let's do the lighter green next. So according to our picture, this lighter green is mostly used for some die cutting here on this card, as well as up here on this card. And it's got a little pennant here on this card. But what I thought, since we're, like I said, if we want to make a few extra cards, let's also use this cardstock to cut an extra base. So this time I'm going to cut it first because we're only going to cut 1 base. So turn it horizontal and cut it at the 5 1/2 mark. Put one aside for right now. The other one, you're going to turn it back this way, and we're going to score it at the 4 1/4 inch mark. 4 1/4. And then we have a card base, so you can put that with your other card bases. Okay. Sorry, I'm talking to myself in my head, but it's coming out. Most of this is going to be used for die cutting and for those couple different cards, but we do need to cut this one little pennant here. So I've guesstimated that it's 1 inch by 4 1/4, or sorry, by 4 inches. So I'm going to just cut that off this end here. So I'm going to take this and put it in my trimmer at the 1 inch mark. And then turn it horizontal and cut it at the 4 inch mark. So again, you've got a little teeny piece, which is scrap. This piece I'm going to not put in my big pile because I don't want it to get lost, but we'll need that for later. And this one, I'm just going to put my Post-it note on it to remind me that's the one that we're going to be using for die cutting. If you have a Post-it note, great. I mean, it is smaller than the card base. We should be okay. But I sometimes get forgetful and get moving too fast. So that little Post-it note just reminds me we'll die cut out of that. Everyone good? What's up, Liz? Let me unmute. I can't seem to unmute you there.
Okay. Which
There
one
you
did
go. I'm sorry, say again?
which one did you score?
I scored the first one, which was, it was 5.5 inches this way by the 8.5 inches this way.
Okay.
Okay, and then so I scored it at 4.25, which
Okay.
when I fold it in half will make a card base.
Okay.
Good. All right.
So that one, the next one is what?
So
That
that first one with the score line is just going to get set aside.
Yeah.
The second one, you're going to cut a strip off that's 1 inch wide.
Okay.
And then turn that 1 inch strip horizontal and cut it at 4. So it'll be 1 by 4 when you're done.
Okay.
All righty.
Awesome.
The next one we're going to cut is the darker green card or cardstock. And we do also have a little bit of die cutting to do out of this one, but I'm going to show you a trick when we get there. So for right now, all we're going to do is cut 2 card bases out of that dark green. So once again, I'm going to start with my scoring. So put it in vertical at the 4.25 inch mark. Let me try and move it up so you can see a bit better. And score it all the way to the bottom. And then turn it so it's running horizontal, measuring at the 5.5 inch mark. And cutting it. So we now have 2 card bases out of this dark green. Easy peasy. Move my little Post-it notes off to the side. All right, the next piece we're going to cut is this robin's egg blue. Once again, we've got some die cutting that we're going to be doing out of this blue as well as up here. And we've got this great big rectangle on this 4th card here. So this one, we're using it for the card base. So what I thought would be fun is this time, instead of doing, I guess what I would call a side opening card, we're going to do a top opening card. So to start off with, take your piece of cardstock, put it in your trimmer, and this time instead of scoring, we are going to cut at the 4.25 inch mark. Like so. So you now have 2 pieces that are 4.25 by 11. Take one of them and just put it off to the side for now. We'll come back to that. This one here, you're going to turn horizontal and you're going to line it up at the 5.5 inch mark and you're going to score it. So this way the card has a top fold. Like so. So it's a long skinny, but it's got that top fold. So it's just showing you how you can use that same paper for different kinds of card bases. So we'll tuck that one in our pile and back to this guy. So some of this paper we're going to use for die cutting, but we do need to cut this blue piece here. And this is one of the cards that I think will be quite easy to make 2 of tonight. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut 2 strips that are 2 inches tall. So take this blue piece, turn it sideways, cut it at 2, take it out, slide it along and cut it at 2 again. So we've got these 2 little pieces here that are 2 inches by 4.25 inches. And we've got this big piece left over for our die cutting. Everyone good? Excellent. The last piece of cardstock we're going to cut is this beautiful purple one. And we're going to do it pretty much exactly the same as the robin's egg one. Because we just need the one card here. So we're going to cut it at 4 1/4. So vertical, 4 1/4. We'll save 1/2 for die cutting. The other one we're going to turn horizontal, and at the 5 1/2 inch mark, I've lost my tool, score it down. That's why I need my little tool holder here, my scoring tool in there. So there's our cardstock. Pretty simple so far. Is everybody caught up and ready to go? Excellent, I see thumbs up. Please do stop me if I'm going too fast. Now we're gonna cut our 3 pieces of pattern paper. So we're gonna start with the purple seashells. We need 2 pieces that are 4 by 5 1/4. Now, my paper got scrunched in my bag. My fault for not putting it away properly. So I'm gonna turn my paper with the seashells pointing down. If you put it in the other way, it really doesn't matter, but whichever way you want it, you want the seashells going vertical. You don't want them going sideways like this. So with your seashells going vertical, you're going to put it in your trimmer and cut it at 4 inches. My little tool fell over. You're gonna then take this piece, turn it horizontal, and you're gonna cut it at 5 1/4 2 times. And by that, I mean you're gonna cut it at 5 1/4. Take that piece out, slide the next one along, and cut it at 5 1/4 again. So you will have a little bit that's left over for scrap. Now the reason, well, besides that's what's in the picture, the reason why I usually like to do that kind of measurement for cards with my pattern paper or with my more expensive paper is by cutting it 4 inches wide and 5 1/4 tall, you're just that little bit smaller than your card base. Oh, you can't see me what I'm pointing at. You've got, that leaves room for that little border, which in my opinion, gives it a nice little finish to your card. But even more importantly, when you cut your pieces 4 inches wide, that means you can get 6 on a 12 by 12 instead of only 4. It helps you get a lot more out of your paper and make it go a lot farther without making a huge dramatic difference in what your card looks like. So there you have it. We've got those 2 pieces here that are 4 by 5 1/4. Put that on there. The next piece we're going to cut is our diagonal stripe. And that is for this card right here. With this one, the measurement that I'm going to give you is probably a little bit bigger than what we need, but I like to overlap and layer my pieces as opposed to butting them up. It just, to me, gives a nicer finish and you don't worry as much about pieces lifting up. So we're gonna cut 2 pieces that are 1 1/2 by 5 1/2. So let me just see, how wide is mine? Yeah, I could. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a strip that's 1 1/2 inches wide. I had to measure mine because I have already trimmed a little snip off of it. But if you do your strip 1 1/2 inches wide, that way you still have a nice big solid piece to use on another project. And then I'm gonna turn it horizontal and cut it at 5 1/2 twice so that we have two pieces. One, is it gonna fit? Yay. So I have an itty bitty scrap. You guys will have a slightly larger scrap than I do because I've already used part of mine. That goes in that pile. So you have two strips now that are 1.5 by 5.5. Yeah. One more piece to cut and then we are ready to start creating. I am using this little heart paper. What I'm doing is I am substituting this gray strip here on this best friends card for the pattern paper instead of the cardstock. Not only will it just add a little extra punch of color, but I'm going to save that cardstock to use as photo mats on layouts with this paper. So I wanted to save that solid paper for that other project. If you would rather use your gray paper, by all means, grab it out of your stack and swap it out. But I'm going to use the hearts, and you want to, so your cuts are going to be a little bit different than mine. Take your 12 by 12 and you're just going to cut a strip that's 1/2 inch wide. And when I do 1/2 inch, I usually go on the opposite side on my paper trimmer, just because I feel like I have more control holding my paper when it's large and just getting that 1/2 inch on the other side. Once you have that 1/2 inch strip, turn it horizontal and cut it at 5.5 twice. So hopefully I'm not confusing you because I'm doing something a little bit different, but you should have had one long strip that was 1/2 inch wide, and you're going to cut it down into two pieces that are 5.5 inches long. And that is all of our cutting. Oh, there's my second one. Is there anything that anybody wants me to go over again? Or is everybody in the same place that I'm at? We have thumbs up. Hooray, I love all those thumbs up. All right, all those big pieces of pattern paper that you have left can get tucked aside. You don't see my hands. I forget that you can't see my hands. Your paper trimmer for right now can get tucked aside. Oh, one's going to go in my letter keeper here. So I think let's start with, let's just go around the flyer here and make our card. So we're going to start with this guy right here. So what you want to do is you want to grab your robin's egg blue that we made into a card base. You want to grab one of those very first pieces of white that we cut. Actually, you know what? Grab two of them. Let's grab two of them because let's make two cards out of this one. The other card base we're going to do is just grab one of your white card bases. So we're going to start off with doing some random stamping. And that's what this is here. It looks like it's pattern paper, but actually what they have done is use the stamp set. Oops, my dies are falling out. Use the stamp set for you to make your own pattern paper. And if you had tuned into one of my Zooms on Saturday, I think it was, oh, I don't know, it's all blurring together, so I don't remember how long ago it was, but we did some random stamping and we've done this a couple of times. So we're gonna start, I always like to start with my largest stamp first. So what you wanna do is you wanna grab your large flower and put it on one of your acrylic blocks and get out your black ink. So while random stamping sounds like you're just gonna kind of put stamped images all over your card, you kind of are, but there is a bit of a method to the madness to help keep things looking a little bit less random. We're a little bit more even. I like to start with the biggest one because it's easy to do the big one when you've got lots of space and use your small stamps to fill in the holes. I'm just using black ink. With the robin's egg background, if you would rather use a dark teal or even a navy blue, you don't have to use black, but that's just what I'm going to use for tonight. So I'm going to start by inking up my stamp. And if you guys want to watch me do the first one first, and then we can do the rest of them together, I'm going to start, and I want to think about making triangles with my stamp. So if you go back to your old days where we did connect the dots, this time we're going to connect the stamp. So I'm going to stamp it once here. I'm going to stamp it over here. And yes, I'm going off the side of my paper. That's totally what I want. And then I'm going to stamp here mostly on the paper. But if I were to connect the centers of those three flowers, it makes a triangle. Now I'm going to switch to probably our next biggest one is, trying to figure out here. Let's go with, I think this guy's going to be too big. Let's go with this little guy right here. Put him on a block. Get him out of the way so I don't put my elbow in him. And again, I'm just going to think about making triangles with my images. So 1, 2, 3. Next one down, let's do, I'm going to go with this little daisy. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think I'll leave that for now. So you can see how that's all starting to fill in, and it looks exactly like you knew what you were doing instead of it being random. Oh, I don't want to close that off. But we do have some little spaces in here. So I'm just going to finish off with that leafy vine. He's a little bit of a different shape, so that'll be good for fitting in some of these areas. At this point, my triangles probably aren't going to work, but that's okay because I can just fill in spaces now. Oops, don't put your finger in the ink. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to try and fit one more in there. Not too bad. But look, now you've created this beautiful pattern paper. So go ahead and do that with both of your pieces of white cardstock. And again, just think about starting with your largest and moving through to the smallest. And think about building your triangles with your stamped images. I'm going to do my second one. Let that dry a little bit. And the nice thing about this is no card is ever going to look the same. Now, had we known that had we thought we were going to maybe make 4 of these cards or make a bunch of these cards, absolutely, you could have done this random stamping technique on the large piece and then cut it down afterwards. There is no right or wrong with this one. It's just a different approach. Oops. And then my next biggest. if you are using multiple colors for this technique, so say we had done the large one in purple, the medium one in that robin's egg, and the small ones in that light green, if you overlap your images, that also gives you a really nice look. Just giving you lots of ideas. All right. There we go. Good. Clean off your stamps when you're done. How's everyone doing? Oh, I see thumbs up. That's good. That's good. I probably have not put my stamps back where they belong, but as long as they're on that carrier sheet, we're good. We will be using the card or the stamps in a little bit, so don't let them go too far away. All right, is everyone good with their stamping, or you need a few minutes? Okay, no problem. Couple more seconds, couple more minutes. See, everyone's still working away, so keep on working. If you are done your stamping and you're waiting for the next step, you're going to want to grab your little green piece that we had tucked off to the side. And I've also opened up my ribbon. So if you want to open up your ribbon, we'll get that ready to go as well. Who's done their stamping? Do we have thumbs up? You good? All right. So let us go on to the next step. So let's do the card as it's shown first, and then we'll modify it a little bit for the second one. So we're going to take one of our two stamped pieces, and we're going to take our robin's egg blue card base, and we're just going to attach it right to the front. So make sure when you've got it, your score line's in the middle. You want to attach it to the bottom half of that, that card base. Oops. Don't need my hair in it. I'm so, so I'm sorry, ladies, I'm gonna have you do just a little bit more cutting. We have this long piece of our purple. It's the one that we did not score. We're just gonna cut one little 1/2-inch strip off of one end.
Oh. Trev,
Yes?
it's okay. My picture went away.
Oh, okay. Did it come back?
No. I have to get my husband.
Okay, well, we'll catch you up when you come back. So just a little 1/2-inch strip like that, and we're gonna cut it in, actually, let's just do 2 little 1/2-inch strips. That's probably easier. So remember, this is the one that is not scored. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to dovetail the end of this green piece here. And if you have never heard my trick for dovetailing, let me share it with you now. What I like to do is I like to do a little vertical snip up as high as I want that dovetail. And then I'm going to go from the outside corner to the top of my snip, and then the other corner to the top of my snip. I've found that the most successful way to get a nice even dovetail on your paper. And then what we want on this is we want just that little bit of purple peeking out from underneath. So I'm going to build it here before I put it on my card, because then that way I can just put that on as one unit. So I've got it kind of the purple ending about a 1/2 inch, maybe a little bit more from the end of that dovetail, and I'm just going to glue it down. Oops.
I'm going to have to take Joanne out and bring her back into your meeting.
Okay, no problem. So I've got my little piece like that. I don't know if you can see it very well, and I'm just going to trim off my end. And now I can attach this whole piece to my card.
Okay, what's your number?
All right. The last thing to do is now just embellish. So this hat, we're going to use our Happy Sentiments puffy stickers. We're going to use, so I've already used it, unfortunately, because I cheated. But you're going to use XOXO on the bottom of your card here.
Thank you.
You good there, Joanne?
I'm back.
Excellent. So just to catch you up, what we did is we cut 2 little purple strips off the end of that purple piece that does not have the score line. And then I attached it behind the green piece that I had dovetailed the end. and we attached it as one whole piece on the card.
A
If you
quarter
need-
inch,
Sorry?
about a quarter inch or half an inch piece.
The purple was a 1/2 inch piece. But then it tucks underneath, so you only see about a 1/4 of an inch. All right, what word am I going to use? I'm going to use happy. Actually, not. I'm going to use best. Because it's a shorter word. Or no, love. Decisions are the hardest part, I think. I'm going to use the word love on this one. Come on. So there I've got my love on my sentiment. And on this foam sheet, you've got some little hearts that you can just kind of sprinkle all over your card. They've got it here, here. Looks like it's only in the 2 places. But when you're placing embellishments, you think of it the same way you thought about doing that random stamping. You want to think about putting it in triangles. So I'm going to choose 3 hearts. I'm going to put one over here. I'm going to put one up here. And then to complete my triangle, I'm actually going to come down below and put it here. Oh, you can't see me. There we go. So I put my hearts here, here, and here. And I'm going to pair that, each one of those, with a sequin. Now these sequins are not self-adhesive. They are just sequins and lots and lots and lots of sequins. Oh, as I'm already spilling them out. I think I'm going to use just a little dot of liquid glue and then put the glue where I want the sequin and then drop the sequin in place. So let me I'm using my Nuvo glue, but you can use whatever glue you wish. Alternatively, if you prefer, you can use a glue dot. But what I like to do is I'm just going to put a little drop of glue and then use my tweezers. There's actually some sequins here in my lid. So instead of fishing in the big old pile, I'm just going to grab a sequin from out of the lid here, if I can grab it. And drop it into my glue and just kind of tap it down so it'll stick. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Little dab of glue. I want this big guy. Get him turned over. There he is. And one more down here at the bottom. So there, you've got some really subtle sparkle and shine on your card. Believe it or not, that's the first card done. But we're going to do it again because we've got the pieces cut, so why not make 2 cards? I'm going to put my lid back on my sequins for now because knowing me, if I don't, they will be all over the table and all over the floor. Now this time, because we are putting white on white, I think I am going to ink around my edges just to give it a little bit of definition. So I'm going to grab, I think I'm going to go with purple. If you have some ink handy, choose whatever color you wish. I'm going to get my little dauber and a little spongy thing. I'm just gonna lightly drag that inked color along the edges of my stamped piece, just to give it some color and some definition. There we go, nice and easy. And it just helps it stand out from that white card base. So one way you can make white on white stand out is with color. Another way you can make it stand out is, I'm actually gonna pop these up. I'm gonna put some foam squares underneath my stamped piece so that it stands up a little bit off of that base. There we go. I thought I just had that many and I was going to be in trouble, but I found another sheet, so it's all good. Let's use up the sheet first. So just, you don't need a lot of foam dots to make it stand up. I'm going to do 3 across the top. I'll do 3 across the bottom. And then probably 3 across the middle as well, just to give it some support. Did I get that one? All right, so once again, I'm going to center it this time to the right of my score line. So that's the front of our card. Oops, I got it stuck to my scrap paper. That was not smart. So there you go. So far, it's the same card, but it's got a very different look to it. And then because I want to save our cardstock for our other, that might be too close. That's too close in color. So let's just use the ribbon. I'm going to cut a little strip of ribbon like so. I'm going to dovetail the one end of the ribbon. And again, there are lots of different ways that you can use to adhere ribbon. With ribbon this wide, I think I'm going to get my score tape out. And on the back side, I'm just going to put 2 strips of score tape, because score tape sticks to just about everything. Actually, this is pretty wide, so I think I'm just going to use 1 strip. Make sure it sticks to the ribbon before you peel the backing up. And if you've got any little threads, you can trim them off. There we go. So we don't have a lot of extra sentiments. If you want to use a sentiment on this one and maybe have one of your other cards blank, that's okay. What else do we have? Oh, you know what? We've got these silver hearts. Let's put a heart on this guy. I am going to take this one right here that has all the X's and O's on it. Because the background is so busy, I want to make sure I pick a heart that's not going to kind of vanish into the background. These are just stickers. I'm going to put it like so. And look, it's got that little bit of sparkle to it. And then I'm just going to use some sequins. Get my little jar. Where did my tweezers go? My tweezers are here. And just to give this some emphasis, I'm just going to put maybe 3 sequins here on that bump of that heart. So I'm going to do dot number 1. Being brave, and I'm going to put all my glue down first. And then grab my sequins. One. Try and get them the same size. There's 2. Come on. There we go. So there you go. I've got my little sequins. I've got my little heart. And that's just 2 different approaches to the same card and the same techniques. So both cards, we have a random stamped background. We have a little pennant across the bottom. We've used sparkle and sequins, but it gives it a very different look as well. So there you have it, ladies. That's card number 1. Woohoo! Everybody following? Everyone good? Excellent. Are we ready for number 2? Give a little stretch to your fingers. I'm going to have a little sip of water with my pineapple glass. Me and my pineapples. Yeah, I know. All right, so I'm going to tuck those cards off to the side. Let's do best friends next. So we'll start with, this one we'll just do one of. So what you want is you want one of your dark green card bases. The one with the score line in it. You want, I know I had you cut 2 of these. Maybe we'll go back and we'll do a second one on white. So you want your little heart strip and your diagonal strip. And that's pretty easy. What we're going to do is we're just going to glue those right down to our card base. So I like to do my big strip first. Oop, I'm off. And I'm just going to line it right up with that bottom edge of my card base. And then this strip, like I said, I like to overlap that seam a little bit so that it just helps keep things nice and flat. But if you prefer, you're also welcome to just butt them up edge to edge and against each other. Totally up to you. Oh, and there I did it. I was talking about overlapping and I put them edge to edge. I'm not going to lift that up. And you know what, that one's so easy. Why don't you grab one of your white card bases and let's do the second one on white. while we've got the stuff out, we might as well make use of it. So this one's going right against the bottom. This time I think I'm going to put that blue side up because that looks really pretty. And you ladies will get to know that about me, is that I like to flip things over and move things around. As much as we've got all the same pieces, I like to switch it up and give you different looks. So now we've got two bases prepped. We've got a white one with the stripe and we've got a green one with the stripe. The next thing we have to do is create our flowers and our leaves and our vine. Am I going too fast? Everyone good? I trust that you will shout at me if I'm going too fast. So what we need, you're good?
Not yet.
Okay, I will give you a second. I'm just getting my stamps ready while you ladies are still going. And leaf. And let's do the big one. All right. All right, are we good? We can put our card bases aside just for a moment. And you want to go into your pile of cardstock and you want to grab your remaining piece of the robin's egg blue. And you want to grab your lighter yellowy green color as well. Because we're going to do two cards, we're going to do two of each of these steps. But what we need to do is we need to stamp using black ink a small, I think these are dahlias. I think that's the name of those flowers. A small one and a large one. And we're going to do two. So we have one for each card. That's going to be on our robin's egg blue. Then over here on the yellowy green, we're going to stamp a couple of leaves and the vine. So what I have ready is I have my large flower, my small flower. I've just got one leaf. If you want your leaves to look different, you can, I think there's two different, there's a different one on the stamp set. And then I've got my large vine. The only thing I'm going to then caution you about is with this robin's egg blue, let's make sure we stay close to one end because we still need some more of this paper for card number 3. So just keep that in mind. Keep it as close to the edge as you can get. So I'm going to start with my big one. And just as close to the corner. There's one. Two. Do my little flower. One. Oh, that's pretty close. Two. So that's what you need on your robin's egg blue. And then because we want a couple of leaves for each card, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to do 2 of the vine. One and 2. 2. So that's what you should have next. Again, if you want a few more leaves, go right ahead. We do need a little bit of this yellowy green on card number 3, but this is a nice big piece, so you should be okay. Let's clean off our stamps and put them away. So hopefully you all have your little die cutting machine handy, because that's what we're going to use next. Get my stamp. You would think with all this desk space that I wouldn't be dropping things on the floor, but you know. Whoops. My blocks. So once you're stamped, you want to get your dies out. And find the dies that match our stamps. So this guy here is going to match up with our vines. I believe this is the larger of the 2 leaves. So yes, you'll have 2 leaf dies. We only want the larger one. The smaller one we're not going to use. We don't need the petally flowers. We don't need the little single vine. There. Not all my dies came out. So with the circly flowers, you want the largest one and the small one. The middle one was for the other one that we used before, and we don't need this big petally one. The trick is always finding the way those line up. So I'm going to start by cutting my robin's egg blue ones first. Why does that feel way too big? Nope. All right. There we go. There we go. Now I may have stamped my little ones too close to my big ones. We'll see, we'll give it a cut. Now that I have found the right direction for this guy, I would normally use my purple tape, but since I can't lay my hands on it right now, I'm just going to put a little bit of washi tape and tack that down so it doesn't move. Now that I've found the right direction, and I'm going to work on cutting them out. So you're going to see me go off camera. You'll hear my Gemini machine in the background. You can go ahead and cut out all of these pieces using your dies. So we'll give ourselves a few minutes to work all those out. If you have questions as we're going along, please shout them out. one. I might be able to do two at once here. Here we go. Yeah. All right, gently take these over. I love that these dies cut with just one pass. You don't have to go back and forth multiple times. And you know, green is kind of my color, so that's always fun too. I can hear Matt rolling his eyes from the other room when I say stuff like that. Everybody moving right along?
Yep.
Yep, that's good. All right, so I'm gonna leave my robin's egg for the next card. Let's get my green ones ready. All right, I've got one more to go. Hope you ladies are moving along okay. There we go. So your extra large pieces can just get tucked off to the side for now. Has everyone done their die cutting? Thumbs up. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So just tuck your dies off to one side as well because we'll need them for the next card. Find your cards again. Oh, mine's under my instruction sheet. And once again, we are just going to position and layer in the corner here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put my large blue flower down first. Then I'm going to tuck my leaves underneath. And then lastly, I'll attach my smaller flower, but I'm going to put that one up on pop dot so it gives us a little bit of extra dimension. If you're going to use your best friend's sentiment from your sticker, your foamy stickers, maybe put those on first so you can get the positioning, because that word friends is quite long. And I would hate for you to have to not fit it in because it didn't work. Now, again, that's only going to be for one card. Choose which card you want to do that on, and away we go. So best friends. I'm going to put it on my green card, and I'm going to start with friends first and then build up, because that way I make sure I get everything in the right spot. These are quite sticky, so just take your time. There we go. I'm going to start with the F. Can we see here? The foam is nice and pliable, so if you need to manipulate it a little bit, you can. Don't forget the dot for your eye. And then best. And now flowers. That friends took up quite a bit of space. Let's see. Yeah, we'll make it work. Oops, sorry guys. That one's gonna go here. Let's tuck a leaf. Tuck a leaf. think my vine is going to be too long, so I'm going to just trim him off. Start there. There we go. Since my little flower isn't going to go here like it does in the picture, because I think I probably put my words up too high, I'm going to just tuck it down here a little bit over the leaves, but it still is a nice positioning to it. And if I pop it up, he'll stand out. As they say, there are no mistakes in crafting, only opportunities for creativity. So we'll just tuck him there. And then if you look really closely at the picture, it's got another one of those little foam hearts. But I think I'm going to use sequins because I think we have a few. So I'm going to do some sequins. Put one there. I'm going to put one up here. And I'm going to put one down here. Come on. There we go. So there's my green card with my best friends and my pretty flower and those beautiful stripes. And now I'm going to switch to my white card, which this time won't have a sentiment because I'm going to save my stickers for the next cards. I'll probably find a nice little sentiment stamp that will fit. So let's close up my sequins. Let's make the flowers the focal point on this one. And you can position your leaves and things wherever you want. So this one, I think I'm just going to do the one leaf here, but I'm going to do the other leaf on the other side with the vine. No, I'm going to put the vine down here. Yes, I am one of those people that it's a good thing I'm the teacher, because if I were the student, I probably wouldn't be following the directions. There we go. And then last but not least, our little dahlia.
I'm already outside of the box.
Excellent. I love to hear that. You'll have to show us at the end. I'm going to do this. So our silver stickers have these hearts on them, foam stickers. So I'm just going to tuck a little heart right there. And another heart over there. Whoops, a little smooshed. And there's my second card. So like I said, I'll probably find a little sentiment that I can just tuck into there. But I love how these guys are really standing out on that white background. All right. Are we ready for card number 3? Thumbs up. Or you need a few minutes on card number 2? No problem. We got lots of time. Sometimes I actually like not putting a sentiment on when I first make a card, because then that way I can tuck it aside, and when I need something for an occasion, then I can make the card fit the occasion instead of trying to pick a card that already fits the occasion. Gives you a little bit more flexibility when you're digging through your stash. How are we doing, ladies? Thumbs up. All right. So we can tuck those aside. We've got 4 cards done already. The next one we're going to do, is probably my favorite on the whole sheet here, is this guy right here with the thanks across the middle. This one we are strictly using die cut flowers. So we do not need our stamps, we just need our dies. And I'm also going to show you a little trick on getting the dark green, because we need that for the card base. However, we also need it for those dark green leaves. So let's get to that in a second. The first thing you want to do is, out of your unscored purple, so you have 1 piece of purple that we had cut a little bit off the bottom, there's no score lines. Out of this piece, you want to cut 3 large flowers. Out of your robin's egg blue, you want to cut 1 medium flower and 2 small flowers. So let's start with that. 3 large purple, a medium, and 2 small robin's egg. So there are my 3 large purple. There are my robin's egg. Out of your lighter yellow green, you want to cut, looks like 3 viney pieces. Now it's up to you whether you want to cut 3 of the large one or do a combination of the large and the small, just so that you can get it done a little bit faster. Up to you totally. All right, so all we have left to cut is our dark green leaves. And here's how we're going to do it, even when we don't have any green left other than our card base. Well, the nice thing about this card is that it's going to get covered up a lot by our white piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut our leaf out of the center of our card front. Now you're going to say, but you're going to see it on the back. So what we're going to do, if that's something that is important to you, is I'm going to take my leaves and I'm going to position them as close to the center as I can. So it actually makes a pattern. So when you see it through on the other side, sorry, you guys aren't seeing me. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do one here, then one down here, and then one up here. So it looks like it's a pattern. So when it shows through on the other side, it's a pretty pattern. If that's something that you feel is too much for you, the other thing we can do is we can cut a piece of our pattern paper and put that inside. So out of the center of your green card front or card base, you're going to cut 3 leaves, and I'm using the smaller leaf. So it's up to you which one, whether you want the larger leaf or the smaller one. I think the smaller one will fit a little bit better on this guy. And that's the last of the die cutting that we have for this card. So again, this time you might want some washi tape to hold it in place. One. Two. And three. So this is what I meant by cutting them in a pattern. So now when it's inside the card, it looks like it's done on purpose. And we could even add a little stamped flower in there if we wished, or one of the little heart stickers. But let's finish the front first. And I feel like I'm creeping lower and lower, so I apologize, ladies, if I have gone off the camera. Has everyone got their die cut pieces ready? Excellent. I don't see Liz, so I'm guessing she's off camera doing her die cutting, so we'll just give it a minute. You're all good? You got your die cutting done, Liz? Are you good, Lynn? Oh, and I see Caroline has joined us. Hello, Caroline. Hopefully you are still with us and following on. So Caroline, we took one of our dark green cardstock pieces and cut it in half to make a card base. And we have a piece of white that is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And then we've die cut a bunch of flowers and shapes out of our various cardstock. Feel free to shout out if you need me to catch you up on anything else. I didn't see when you joined, so hopefully you're good. All right. Probably the best thing to do is to create, and I'm going to put this here in the camera so we can follow along closely. Let's create on our white piece before we put it on the card base. That way we can trim off edges and do all of that good stuff before we attach it to our card, and when it's easier to cut those edges. So take a look at this, guys. Just like when we did the random stamping and we made triangles, look, our flowers here are in triangles. Our blue flowers are in triangles. Our leaves are in triangles. Our vines are in triangles. So hopefully you're catching on to that pattern, and it doesn't matter whether you're stamping or arranging embellishments or laying out die cuts like so. That triangle is a really important and easy trick to help you arrange things on a card or on a layout. So we're going to start, probably easiest if we just start laying a couple things out. I'm going to start with the purple. So just like with stamping, I am going to start with my biggest shape first and figure out where I want them. Move him up into the corner a little bit more, like so. I'm going to stick them down, but I'm not going to put the glue all the way to the edges, so that if I do want to do some tucking, it's easy to do without losing our positioning. So now that we have them positioned, that always seems to be the hardest thing. Once you've got it here, I always joke, I wish I had a glue button that I could just press glue and it would automatically stick. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So I'm just going to carefully pick up each piece applying my glue, remember to leave a little bit of space around your edges so you can tuck and stick it back down. Do the next one. Now this guy, I'm gonna try to remember not to put glue on these petals because it's gonna get cut off anyways. So if I hold it that way, maybe I'll remember. And then last but not least, this guy. All right, my purple flowers are down. I'm gonna flip it over so that I can trim off all these extra bits. Oops. All right, so purple is done. Next, I'm going to arrange, oh, let's make them flat there, my robin's egg blue flowers. So I'm gonna tuck here. I'm gonna tuck here. And I'm gonna tuck over here. You know what? I'm gonna switch because I've got a little bit more space at the bottom. So I'm gonna put my bigger one at the bottom and my little one at the top. And always thinking of your triangles. So now I'm even just gonna do this. I don't want to move them too much. And already those colors are just making me happy. This one I don't have a lot to trim off. Well, there we go. And let's do my vines next. Now what I'm trying to do is fill in some of these white spaces and create those layers of texture. You can see here too, everything, you know, they've got the little vine even overlapping all the flowers. So they don't have to necessarily tuck under, they can stay on top. But I'm losing my triangle a little bit here, so I'm gonna change that guy to this one. And then move one more here. Kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. We want to just work it till you find just the right spot. And then I think this guy, I'm going to snip off. And that's the benefit of cutting the bigger ones, is that you can make them into smaller ones. Like that. All right, let's glue. And then last but not least, I have my 3 dark green leaves to find homes for. So if you notice, if you're looking at your picture, we have an embellishment on this particular flower. It's these white enamel shaped flowers that we're going to put on there. So when you're placing your green leaf on this one, you definitely want that on top in order to accommodate the flower. If you want to wait until you have the flower out to position that, then you can. I'm going to at least put these 2 guys on and stick them down. There. And because your white card is going to be going on top of another layer that is a little bit bigger, if it does happen to go off the edge just a little bit, that's okay. Or if it bothers you, you can trim it off like we've done with the flowers. Come on, there we go. And then my last leaf is going to go right about there. So if you'll notice, everything we cut in 3s. We have 3 purple, 3 blue, 3 light green, 3 dark green, which makes those triangles so much easier to make. And look how beautiful that card is coming together. Everyone doing okay? Nods, thumbs, excellent. So at this point, this is where I am going to now attach it to my card base so that I can finish the embellishments and all of that kind of thing. When you're putting your adhesive on, just remember you've got these 3 holes and you don't want adhesive showing through there. So what I tend to do is I tend to now put my adhesive on the piece that has the holes on it. You want to come in a little bit because you are going to have a border. And then I'll also put a little bit of tape around where those holes are so that this white piece sticks well. And then attach that to my card. I love it. I can see me making a few more of these before I put all my stuff away because it is so pretty. All right. The last steps are just the finishing steps, so I'm going to use my thanks and spread it across my card here. And because this is how I roll, I've got mine on a jaunty angle instead of straight across. I am not a straight across kind of girl. Get that stuck down. And then we've got these enamel flowers. Now, before I stick my flowers down, I just want to show you guys something with these. If you have alcohol inks, or if you have Copic or other brands of alcohol markers, you can actually color these guys, and you can do some really neat stuff with it. So you don't have to do this unless you have your inks handy. I'm gonna do purple. So I'm gonna take my purple alcohol ink, and I'm experimenting here. So this may or may not work. So you might want to wait and see what I do before you go ahead and do it. Whoops. That came out way faster than I thought it was going to, and it's way darker. So maybe that one didn't work. Okay, don't do as I say. But as you can see, you can color these guys. I think I just didn't make a good color choice. You can color your flowers. I'd probably go in there with the tissue and dab out some of that. That looks a little bit much. It came out too fast on me. But I'm also going to show you with the Copic marker. I'm just going to open it up with my brush tip, and I can just lightly color the petals of my flower. So you can leave it the white if you like that. You can color it if you wish. And this type of plastic will absolutely accept the alcohol ink. So there, it's really light. It's a little bit more vibrant here in real life than it is on the camera. Let's try the purple. There, that's showing up a bit better. That's more of what I was going for. So just so you know, with the rest of your flowers that you don't use tonight, there are ways that you can adapt and modify those. There's my purple one. I like that one the best. So I'm going to peel that one off and put that here on my leaf. And there's card number 3. I'm going to sit on this one in my brain a little bit. I may go back in later and add a few little sequins because we've got this big sparkly thanks. So it would be nice to have a little bit more sparkle all around it if you're a sparkle person. I know some people aren't. But there you go. So are we good with card number 3? Excellent. Let's see my other ladies on the other camera. You guys good? Lynn, you're good? Excellent. Caroline, you're good. I can't see you, but hopefully you're good. All right, we have one card left to do. Let's check out our stash. What do we have left? So we have a purple card base. We actually have a green card base as well, with a slightly different fold. But we've also got our 2 pieces of pattern paper, and we have our 2 pieces of robin's egg. So Caroline, if you missed those off the top, we're using the shell paper, and the pieces are 4 by 5 1/4. It's got these beautiful flowers on the other side. We've got a purple card base and a light green or yellowy green card base. Those are the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This one we did it as a top fold. This one we did it as a side fold. You do whatever works for you. And then we had little pieces of robin's egg blue, which were 2 by 4 1/4. And because we're going to do 2 of these cards, we have 2 of those robin's egg pieces. So this one's going to be pretty straightforward. We're simply going to attach our pattern paper to the front of our cards. Now, I think for my green card, I'm going to flip it over and use that floral paper. So we can go ahead and glue those on right away, because it's once we get to this bit that we're going to be doing a little bit of extra. And again, if we were doing this on a white card base, I probably would have edged that pattern piece with some ink just to make it stand out. And actually, because that's a lot of purple, I'm going to take this darker purple and just edge that a little bit to give it some definition. I should have said this off the top. I completely forgot, but you could always round the corners as well if you want a slightly softer look. I've already started with the square, so I'm just going to leave it like that. All right. All right, so our card bases are prepared. Get rid of these extra bits. All right, so now we've got to figure out how to do this fancy schmancy ribbon. I'm not much of a ribbon person, but I do have a few tricks up my sleeve, so we will work on these together. I'm not going to do this all as one piece. I'm going to do one piece that's going to wrap around my blue, my robin's egg blue, and then I'm going to do a second piece for the bow, and then we will attach the little embellishment afterwards. This little embellishment is in this little packet here. There should be 4 of them. So there's 2 large ones and 2 small ones. You can do whichever size you choose. We'll see what it looks like when we get there. So we're going to start with our ribbon. And I'm just going to take a piece that is, oh, you can't see me. Sorry. There we go. That is a little bit longer than my robin's egg blue. So I'm just going to snip it here. And because we're doing 2 cards, I'm going to do 2 pieces. And then all I'm going to do is wrap it around that blue. So on our little sample sheet here, they've got it a little bit towards the bottom. Their blue piece might also be a little bit bigger than what ours are, but I'm just going to wrap it around, and I am going to tack it down on the back so that it stays there. You do want to give it a little bit of slack because you don't want the paper curling or you're going to have trouble putting it onto your card. So I'm going to grab my strong tape. And I'm just going to put a strip on each end. Let's do the other one while we're here. Come on. There we go. All right, so we're gonna peel the backing. So I've got the ribbon face down. I've got my robin's egg blue face down. Let me peel my backing and just gently fold it over so that it sticks, and do the other side as well. This should hopefully help you keep it taut without being tight, because you're not pulling on it, you're just gently folding it over. Now you will have some sticky bits here. That's okay, because we are going to attach it to our card base. Looks like mine's up a little bit too high, so remember on your second one, put it down a little bit lower. All right, there's our ribbon. There's our tape, put it down lower. Peel up our tape. Gently fold it over. And I may have gotten my ribbon upside down. Just means it won't be as shiny. That's okay. All right. There you have it. So because I've got sticky bits, I am going to go ahead and attach this right to my card so that it doesn't get stuck on my background paper or my scrap paper or anything like that. I am going to want to put another strip of sticky over that ribbon so it sticks to the paper. We've got sticky here. Let's tape runner it. I don't know. I don't think you can ever have too much adhesive. You want to make sure it sticks. It's funny, you never think about where you put your tape and what your taping habits are until you've got people watching you. But that's okay. I know you guys know what I mean. So on our sample, the blue is a little bit higher towards the top. So I'm going to do the same kind of thing. That's one card. Let's just go. And a little bit extra. Oh, let me see if I can. There we go. Now we can see a bit more of my space, and I don't keep falling off the camera on you. Probably a little too little too late, but all right. So this one, because my ribbon is a little bit more centered, I'm going to center my blue piece a little bit more. There we go. Okay, next up, our big bow. Again, bows are not my forte, so please bear with me. And if you have better skills than I do, then do your own thing. All I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my ribbon on my spool, and I'm simply going to tie a bow like so. And just play with it until I get my bunny ears the way I like it. There is a tool out there called a bow maker. I am trying to get it from our supplier. He's been out of stock for a while. I'm gonna have to bug him. And maybe we could do a whole class just on bows. That's not too bad. Maybe make them a little bit smaller. And this may not be the most economical way to use your ribbon, but for me, it creates a whole lot less stress. So now that I have my bow the way I want it, now I can cut off my ends. And I'm going to attach it here to my card. And then what I'm going to do is take one of my little gems. Now these are like buttons. They've got the little backings. Actually, the larger ones have the little backings. The smaller ones are a little bit smaller, so we may be able to just kind of squash it right into the knot of that bow. And here's where I'm going to get out my glue dots to attach my, I've got large glue dots here. I'm going to use that to attach my bow. Sorry, I've got my glue dot just on the back of the knot. Don't get your fingers stuck in it. And attach it like so. And then, the best adhesive to attach your gem is probably Glossy Accents. I'm going to be bold. I'm just going to use my Nuvo glue and we'll see what happens. Dollop on there and it will dry clear. Drop my gem and push it down. And fingers crossed it will dry. You could use a glue dot as well. Maybe that would have been a better option, which I will do on my second card. So do as I say, not as I do. Liquid glue probably was not the best option for that. Let's try again. Yeah, see, that one's got even more of a thing. We'll figure it out. All right, another bow for our last card. My bunny ear. Give it a good snug. That one turned out a lot better than the first one. Maybe I just needed practice. All right, trim my tails. And we'll glue dot this guy. That jaunty angle off to the side. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this is my brainstorm this time. We've got our little button nub here. I'm going to put a glue dot behind it back here and use that to attach to the ribbon. you had more narrow ribbon, you could even thread that through the hole. I just feel like this purple ribbon is maybe a little bit too wide for that. And my fingers are too fat. Nope, that didn't work. And stick. That worked a little bit better. So there we have it. And if you wish, you can go ahead. I'm not sure what you ladies have left. I have Be Happy. It should fit. Maybe I'll put it on. Oh, that one's still not sticking. I'm going to not play with that one until later. See, even the teacher makes mistakes. So let's put Be Happy on here. Don't worry, be happy. That's what we all should be focusing on right now. Come on, gonna fit. Hooray. Happy. Is my B gonna fit on there? Yep. And then I think to balance it out, because I have one little heart left, no, I'm not going to use that heart. I'm going to use these two little hearts. And I'm just going to put one here and one here. Spectacular. So there you go, ladies. We made 2, 4, 6. We made 7 cards tonight. Hooray. And as you see, good thumbs up. I love those thumbs up right now. So it is now, actually, I'm assuming thumbs up meaning you guys are where I am, and that is done with our cards, which is awesome. It is now 8:45. So tell me what you'd like to do next. We do have a little bit more time on the official schedule. If you'd like, I have kind of an idea for a 2-page layout. If you want to quickly put together a 2-page layout, probably not going to be a lot of embellishment on it. You can do that as homework, or we could make another card, or we can call it a night. So I will leave that up to you ladies. What would you like to do? And you'll have to unmute because I can't hear anything.
Sheri, I'm going to call it a night.
Okay.
I have some ideas that I'd like to use the rest of the stuff for.
Perfect.
Okay.
No problem, Helen.
These are the 2 I came up with extra.
Okay, hold on a sec. I'm going to put it back on gallery so everybody can see. There you go. Let's see what you did.
All right.
Go ahead.
So
Ooh, I like the slim line.
There's the second one.
Fantastic.
So, and then I did all the rest that you gave us to do. So
You are speedy. Good for you. Did anybody else come up with anything creative or different? No, you just follow the teacher. Good girl, Lynn. Gold star.
Sheri?
this is
Yes.
all I do all day long. So it's, you know, I'm just Speedy Gonzalez.
There
Sorry.
you go. Yes, Lynn, or Liz, sorry.
In one of my little toolkits that I have a pair of these little pliers.
Oh, yeah,
So we could cut that knob off the back of that knob,
absolutely.
and then it lays flatter.
That's a great idea. I just didn't have that tool handy with me and didn't know if anybody else had it. So great idea. If you do have a wire snip or something where you can cut that little nub off the back of the button, it certainly makes it easier to work with. So what would you guys like to keep crafting, or are we good for the night?
I think I'm good for the night.
You're
I'm good for the night. I'm good for the night.
All right. Well, then I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you for
Thank you, Sheri.
Thank you.